Welcome to week 24 of Chronological Bible Teachings Bible Literacy Movement. You're on a roll. If you've gotten this far, you're doing amazingly well. And you're right in the middle of some of the most famous stories of the Bible. In fact, this period, which is about from 874 to 814, the week that you'll read, 874 to 814 BC, is one of the major periods of miracles in the Bible. Most people think the Bible has hundreds of miracles. The truth is, the Bible has three basic periods of miracles. You see scattered miracles outside of these periods, but in the time of Moses, we see a great period of miracles. And in the time of Elijah and Elisha, we see a great period of miracles. And then in the time of Jesus and the apostles, we see a great period of miracles. Outside of that, they're very infrequent and rare. So you shouldn't be surprised that we don't see a lot of miracles all the time. They weren't all the time in the Bible. Last week, we finished by meeting Elijah, one of my heroes. And I know you probably love him too. He stood before Ahab without fear and said there'd be no rain. He did it in the middle of the rainy season. And the way you know that is that he went to a brook. And that brook is a wadi that only runs during the rainy season. When it dried up, it proved to us that it wasn't a river, but rather a brook that runs in the rainy season. God sent him there, and he then sent him to a widow of Zarephath, an outsider, a foreigner, showing once again God's love for foreigners. You know the story, the showdown at Mount Carmel between Ahab and all the prophets of Baal and Elijah, and how God answered by fire and then by rain. God sent rain, and he sent rain, by the way, in the middle of the dry season. When it wouldn't normally rain in Israel, God sent rain. But Elijah turned and fled from Jezebel. After that great success, that wonderful victory, he fled in terror, and God used that to reorient him, to redirect him, and in fact to call Elisha to be his servant and his successor. James tells us that both of these are true because Elijah was a man with passions like ours. One day we're on a spiritual high, the next day we think everything's over and we're ready to quit. If you feel that way sometimes, you're in good company. You join Elijah. We also meet a king, a wicked king named Ahab. Ahab spends a great deal of our time, and we watch him take Samaria, the northern kingdom, on a path that leads to great destruction. He's influenced greatly by his wife Jezebel, and they together are influenced to hurt a man named Naboth and take his property and kill him. And God sends judgment through Elijah on both of them. Ahab dies just like Elijah said, and Jezebel dies years later, exactly according to the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah. The northern kingdom, we see Ahab's dynasty rise and then fall. Dynasties fall and rise in the northern kingdom with regularity, but in the southern kingdom, we keep being introduced to the line of David. In fact, the only flaw in the whole ointment of the line of David is when Jehoshaphat, the great leader through whom God gives revival and victory to Judah, marries off his son to Ahab's daughter. This fatal mistake almost destroys the southern kingdom, but God rescues them. After Elijah is taken to heaven in a whirlwind, God raises up Elisha. He receives a double portion of Elijah's spirit, and God does mighty things through him. In these exciting times, we see an axe head float. We see a leper healed because of the testimony of a servant girl whose name is not known, but whose story shakes the world. We see God answer Elisha's prayer as he prays for a servant, and Elisha's servant sees what Elisha has only seen: chariots of fire. The armies of the Lord surround the prophet of God and protect him. And because of that, we see mighty things take place. These are exciting days in God's Word. As you read, my heart's prayer that this week is that God will speak to you from His Word in a powerful way. You will fall in love with God and all that He does, and you will long to see His power displayed in your life. Have a great week reading.